2 ways you can, and definitely 2 ways you can avoid being disqualified. How in the world can 4,200 applicants, roughly speaking, result in 230 qualified and just under 100 highly qualified, and ultimately 38 applicants interviewed for 4 positions? The scrutiny is real. You're going to get through it, because the scrutiny that you're going to go through in order to get your federal job is bad enough, and you definitely deserve a pat on the back if you're getting all that needs to be done. And that's what this channel is for. It's for you, a person who is smart, who wants to get their foot in the door with the federal government, with me, Lisa. I'm going to tell you how simply 2 mistakes can disqualify your application, because it's not done. We're going to talk about the mistakes that thousands of applicants make when applying for a job with the federal government. And then the bells, the light, the fireworks are going to go off, and you'll say, that's why. Simple mistakes you don't want to make. And if you stay with me all the way to the end, I'm going to give you a little insight that you need to increase your success. Let me reference the early years, way back, USAJOBS.gov. There used to be red dots that would identify where you were required to enter information. So, like herded sheep, that's all we did. We completed only those areas with red dots. But what we've learned through proof that there are qualitative measures in place, and everything you put in and everything you leave out has meaning. Now, they don't even bother to tell you with a red dot or an asterisk what you can or cannot complete. It simply won't let you go forward. Don't have the name of that supervisor from 6 years ago, you will not be able to move forward. And that's why that you think at that moment it's easier for you to just upload a 2-page resume without that name at all. But it's really not. And we're going to talk about those and other areas that can trip you up from your goal of being referred, getting that phone call, because you're highly qualified. Believe it or not, that is exactly why 4,200 applicants can be received for 4 positions and only 230 qualified and just under 200 highly qualified, because highly qualified translates into capable of completing all the information.
Oh.
Smart. Simple mistake number 1, not completing the questionnaire, or as I've called it before previously, the test. But wait, it's not that simple. It's not just completing it, it's how you complete it, because you can't get around it. It's right there when you click apply. Watch this video that goes into more details of how they use that assessment and how you can better position yourself when you complete it. It absolutely will be tempting for you to rate yourself as an expert in every question that you can. I laugh to think back when I worked for the Department of Labor working with my veterans. I'm a veteran, so I know. They would pass around a complete set of answers, such as saying C, D, E, E, B, and so on and so forth. Gone are those days, my friend. You must answer the questions independently. While some career advisors may feed your temptation to be an expert for every single question, I advise you against it, because yet again, this is another way to find yourself disqualified, by inflating your expertise. It's one thing to write a well-written and concise sentence. And let me give you this as an example that speaks to your truth, and another speaks to maybe your lies. Let's take a look at your management skill. Here's an example. Communicate with key stakeholders to determine project requirements and objectives, as well as routinely confers with project personnel to identify and resolve problems. Easily. if you're a manager at Walmart or a CEO, you've both had these abilities. However, if your job is a forklift operator at Walmart or that corporation, and you've stated the same thing, communicate with more than 200 key personnel daily in order to determine project requirements and objectives within the warehouse, routinely confers with project personnel to identify and resolve problems within the warehouse, flag. Let me get it. Here we go. Flag. You've simply thrown in your pieces of your job, and that's absolutely way from anything I recommend that you do, and further away from what you've experienced. This video here, where we talked about Bob the janitor who worked in maintenance or started his own business, we fleshed out how to identify the keywords, the knowledge, skills, and abilities that you might not even realize that you have. But inflating your abilities is not the way to go. Backing up what you have written as proof of your experience very much is. You may also see, after a series of questions, an open block to provide where you obtained the experience, to include the dates, positions held as well. To not fill in that block is not to complete the assessment, no differently than writing in, please refer to resume. While yes, they do have your information, but they're asking who? They're asking you of it. Yet again, that block provides insight to your integrity, which you signed off on as what? The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. As well as it streamlines for the hiring managers to quickly reference what you have attested to where? Over there in your USAJOBS application, which is essentially what? Your resume through Resume Builder. Now let's say that you've used your education to support your expertise. You will, in that area, in that open box, identify your school, your degree, and your courses and the date, which is why your transcripts will be required if you're using education as justification for your experience, which falls into simple mistake number 2, not turning in all the required documents. It ranges from SS50 to transcripts to DD214 to OF306 are just a few of the forms required when you read its instructions for each application. Not turning in your documents is a very common mistake, and yet it will nevertheless disqualify the applicant from being processed. There you have it. It's simple. 2 ways to disqualify your application entirely. And here is the bonus piece of insight I promised you. It's just that, insight. If you find yourself repeatedly marking, I don't have experience in the area, or you're deliberately skipping a question or a section because you don't have the answer or you're not ready, you have to be realistic. There will be other applicants that do, and the job you are trying to fit yourself into may not be a good fit for you. Your job is out there, the one where you can readily be prepared for and have the confidence, the muscle to be seen as an expert, ready and able to identify in your resume the knowledge, skills, and abilities that can be found to support it. Remember this video? Or haven't seen it yet? Take a look at it. Hired after submitting more than 100 applications. That's a testimony for sure. One that conveys to viewers and applicants the tenacity and resilience necessary. The same smart that will be said of you. But first, you have to say it to yourself. I'm prepared and I'm highly qualified. You gotta have a test in order to have a testimony. I ask that you remember everyone deployed, our men and women who are out there serving our country for us. Bye for now.